All right, let's go ahead and call the meeting of the Technical Transportation Committee to order. In the absence of the chair, Dr. John Fricker, I'll just guide us through the agenda. So the first item is the approval of the meeting minutes from the March 23rd meeting. So this was not the emergency meeting we had last week. This was our regularly scheduled meeting that we're reviewing the minutes for. So I would entertain a motion, unless there are any corrections to the minutes from last month's meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes as submitted.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Thank you. So all those in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. All right, the motion carries. The minutes are approved. So then our second item is the City of West Lafayette would like to make an introduction of a new staff member. So I think I'll go ahead and turn that over to Jeff to introduce this new staff member.
Sure. Thanks, Tim. New staff member Joshua Lee is currently in the audience, serving as project engineer for the City of West Lafayette with a focus on transportation. It would be the hopes of him catching up to speed on the different projects within the city and eventually taking over this voting position here on the Technical Transportation Committee.
All right, very good.
Yep.
So we should expect him to be the future member going forward. Okay, got it.
Yep.
All right, well, welcome, and we're glad to have you, and we look forward to working with you.
Which one's Joshua?
Back there, kind of behind the podium in the white shirt.
Podium's in the way.
Okay.
Joshua, raise your hand. We can't see you. Oh, right there. Okay, that's you.
Okay, so our next item is the access permit, so I'm going to turn it over to NDOT. I believe we have a list that they sent us beforehand.
We do. So for the first time, there's a list, and hopefully for every time in the future, we'll be better organized, and you'll get to see that in advance if you want to. We have 2 new permit applications since the last meeting. The Klondike Middle School, which we have discussed here before, and access to US 231. And the Lowe's Truck Stop, which we have discussed here before on Schuyler, which they did not proceed with their original permit and it expired, and they are ready to begin again. So those neither have been issued yet, but they have been applied for. And then active permits, I won't go through each of these, but if there is one at this meeting or in future meetings, if you want to discuss something that's active, we're going to keep that list so you guys can see what's going on currently, as opposed to just reviewing anything that's new. Any questions on permits, NDOT permits? I think we're good, Tim.
Okay, thank you, Bill. So then our next item on the agenda is just an update on where we're at with the 2050 MTP. So we are going to have a draft of the plan up and posted for public comment by the end of the month. Additionally, starting next week, actually, we're going to have some public meetings where we have kind of open house sort of forum where we will be able to talk to members of the public, answer any questions about what's going on with transportation in the community, as well as encourage them to go ahead and look at the draft transportation plan that will be posted. And then we are on target for adoption on June 7th. The current MTP expires on June 8th. So we're going to move our policy board committee up a couple of days in order to meet that deadline. So it'll be the 7th. And between now and then, we will have a formal public hearing for the MTP. That has not been scheduled yet, so I don't have a date for that, but obviously it will be before policy board adoption on the 7th. Any questions about that? Okay, hearing none, I will move on to the next item, which is an update on the thoroughfare plan. And the update is kind of that there is not much of an update. We are still in the kind of phase where we are gathering comments, both from stakeholders as well as staff, So we're kind of looking at some things there and trying to continue to wrap up a few issues with, maybe some wording and so on, and making sure that everything is up to par with that. So that is still going on. It is kind of taking a backseat to the MTP, since that's our more pressing plan to get finished right now. So it hasn't been forgotten, but it has been kind of moved to the back burner temporarily. Any further questions on that? Okay, hearing none, I will move on to the next item. So the next thing is about a website update for the Greater Lafayette Northern Connectivity Study. And I'm going to turn that over to Doug from our staff to kind of give us the latest on where that's at.
As you're aware, the joint project is going on between NDOT and us, as the APC, to look at the extension of what we used to call US 231 to a connection some point north of the county, or even to north of that, to I-65. And right now there is really nothing available for the general public to look at. We have received phone calls because information has been getting out in terms of a study is going on. So we internally have drafted basically a website, and we have sent that information to the NDOT team, and it has been reviewed, and actually we received comments back just a couple days ago. So we will look those over, do some tweaking, and then hopefully have something up in the next couple weeks. Project is moving forward, so it'd be something exciting, but we decided that we do need to get some information available so that if there are any questions, you can actually point them to the website, and it'll hopefully tell them what is going on with the project. So, any questions or comments?
Yeah, just a comment. One reason why we think this is important is we want to kind of head off any potential rumors that can come into play. Anytime you get this sort of pretty significant project, people are worried about how that might impact them, especially if they, have a residence kind of near where they think the road might be, and then they start to spread all sorts of rumors. So we'd like to just make sure that accurate information is out there so that people aren't spreading misinformation. So Doug worked very hard to draft up some pretty good stuff, especially going back through a lot of our historic information from some previous studies we'd put together. So. All right, well, I'm not hearing any other questions, so we can go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda, which is talking about our federal funding obligation. So Doug, if you want to go ahead and go through this.
Sure, I'd be more glad to. First off, I'd like to thank everyone for your help last week and attending the emergency meeting. Good news is that with your recommendation, the information was presented the following day to the policy board, and the policy board did approve the TIP amendment. Right after that occurred, we submitted all of the paperwork to NDOT, including the MPO federal obligation letter, and we are good to go. We have secured and told NDOT that all of the 80% of the federal funds are good, and the project is on track. So I think everything else is taken care of, so hopefully they'll have the next meetings, and we'll see construction later this year. So again, thank you for attending that meeting and helping out. As we, with this report, basically what we need to do is bring an update to you regarding the status of our federal funds, because if you remember, we need to obligate these at the end of each state fiscal year, and the information on the top is what NDOT sends to us, and it shows that in essence most of the federal funds have been obligated, And of course, below that, under the funding allocation, that shows the status by project and by specifically the annual funds, the coronavirus, or what they're calling STBG funds, and then the additional IIJA or the bill funds. And as you see in these tables, that basically everything is obligated except for the federal funds for the Sagamore Parkway Trail project. And with our submittal of the letter last week, we are now officially obligated those. So when we receive the information, hopefully in 2 or 3 weeks, we will be able to show a balance of 0 in all of these columns. But in essence, we have successfully obligated all of our federal funds again for this fiscal year. So that's the good news. The other good news is that we did receive our funding targets, are basically the final fiscal year 2022 funds, which are basically the funding targets for the next fiscal year, 2023. Of course, we will have an additional funds to look at, and we are anticipating to begin the process next month's tech meeting to actually allocate the balance of those federal funds. No, we need to pay back the Morehouse Road project, the right-of-way phase, and then also pay back the Northwest Indiana MPO for allowing us to borrow their money for the trail project. So, but we do have a balance, and we will need to figure out where to allocate those funds. So are there any questions? Well, thank you.
Okay, so then our next item would be the 18-month letting list.
And then looking at this, it's considerably shorter than what we've had in the past 6, 7, 8 months. Begin with the projects that were on the March 9th letting. There was 2, as shown on the screen, one on State Road 26 and one on State Road 25. For the first project on top on 26, actually it was combined with 3 other projects, one in White County and 2 in Benton County. The project was awarded to Milestone, and the contract completion date is June 1st of 2023. For the State Road 25 project, that is actually 2 projects, one here in Tippecanoe County and the other in Boone County. It was awarded to a 5-star company, and the contract completion date is September 15th of 2022. So that's the information for those 2 projects. And of course, looking at the other page, or page 1, on this month's letting, of course, there was only the one project, the Sagamore Parkway Trail, and we know that was successful in getting it taken care of, even though that the 4 bids were significantly over the engineer's estimate. And to kind of give you a flavor of that, of course, the low bid was from HIS Contractors for the $4.978 million. White Construction LLC was the high bidder at $7.125 million. The other 2 bids, one was at $5.43 million and the other one was at $6.32 million. So actually it was pretty wide in terms of cost. So, but again, we were successful in getting all the funds, both federal and local, secure, so that project is moving forward. Now, again, as I mentioned last month, you see 2 projects on a June bid letting. This is kind of historic because this rarely happens. Both are on US 52 or US 52 South specifically, and they will be adding auxiliary lanes. So kind of a neat project. Of course, we know most of the county roads in that area intersect at weird angles to US 52 since it's at a diagonal. And this project should help alleviate those intersections. Looking forward, all of the projects from 6 down the list are pretty much on track, except for one, and as you see here, Project 11, district-wide traffic signal modernization project. That was scheduled on a July bidding, but it is now moved back a few months, specifically to October 13th. Any questions? Okay, great. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Doug. So then our final business item is appointing a new committee chair. So Dr. Fricker, who has been the chair of this committee for several years, is retiring from being a professor at Purdue University. I'm not 100% sure if this was going to be his last meeting or if he is going to be here next month. I don't know about that, so that will be something we'll have to look into. But we are looking for a new chair for the committee. So in the past, we have used a representative from Purdue, since, I guess technically JTRP, the Joint Transportation Research Program, as kind of a neutral party, so to speak. So we can continue to try to get someone from there to see if we can find a replacement. But if there is anyone else that's on this committee that would be interested in filling the chair, we're not necessarily tied to that. We can kind of, as long as we can find someone we all agree on, someone else can be the chair. So I'd sort of hoped that Dr. Fricker would be here today to give us a little bit more information. Unfortunately, I guess he wasn't able to make it. But this is something we'll definitely be looking into, and we hope to have some more answers by next month's meeting about who might be available from JTRP, if anyone, to fill the chair. And if not, then we will figure out what to do from there. And I guess, if someone wants to nominate someone, perhaps someone who didn't show up today, hey, they didn't say no, right? So. Yeah, but all kidding aside, just wanted to let everyone know about that so that you are aware and do watch for more information about that at coming meetings. Okay, are there any questions about that? All right, well, hearing none, those are all the items that we had on the agenda. Are there any additional items that anyone would like to bring up for discussion before we think about adjourning? All right, I will take that as a no. Since this meeting is in person, all public comments are required to be made in person. So members of the public, are there any comments that you would like to make? Okay, I will also take that as a no. So with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second the motion.
Well, I think we have to have a motion first.
Sorry, this is the motion then, to adjourn the meeting.
I'll
Sorry.
second it.
Very good. All right, we do have a motion and a second, so we will take a vote. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. All right, so without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and we look forward to talking to you next month.
Jump the gun on that.
You did a great job. Except for not nominating Stu.
I thought about it.
You might have second.